I'm George Crump, lead analyst with Storage Switzerland. In today's Chalk Talk video, we're going to do a deep dive on a new trend that we're seeing in the data center, and we call that performance sprawl. Performance sprawl is coming from the admission that solid-state devices are good for the enterprise and that they solve performance. The challenge that we're seeing is that because vendors are rushing to market and data centers are in a hurry to fix performance problems, they're being implemented in almost a haphazard way. And so what we've seen, if you think about the SSDs that are available today, we've got drives, which are memory in a drive form factor. We've got modules, or what we call SSD DIMMs. We have PCIe cards. And all of those, of course, go inside the server. Right? So those go inside the server. We got three choices just to solve server-based performance problems. Then we have networked SSDs. And those break up into two categories. We have caching type of appliances that insert into the network, the storage network, and can accelerate performance off of a variety of storage systems. And then we have SSD appliances, which are standard storage system type of products, but with SSD only in them or flash only in them. And then finally, we have kind of legacy storage systems with SSD added. And so these are regular storage systems, again, connecting into the storage network, and we've put a shelf of solid state, probably drives, in them. So all of these are happening at the network layer. All of these are happening at the storage layer. And there's really three areas where we see a common ground of implementation. We're seeing a lot of popularity in putting PCIe here. We're also seeing a lot of popularity in seeing a solid-state appliance in the network. And then we're also seeing a lot of popularity around putting it actually in the system itself. And so what you end up with is, in many data centers now, we're seeing multiple solid-state storage systems appear in multiple locations throughout the environment. To make matters worse, especially in the server case, we see multiple implementations of PCIe SSD in every server, right? Again, down here, we tend to see multiple implementations in every storage system. So we have a sort of a vertical sprawl, and now we have a horizontal sprawl as well. And so what this leads to is kind of confusion on the part of the data center because, okay, how do I manage this? Each of these vendors may be different, these vendors are different, and probably those vendors are different. So we get this really complicated scenario where to fix performance problems, we've sort of taken a point approach instead of a holistic approach to the solution. So how's the best way to solve this problem? Well, we think there's two areas that make a lot of sense. One is using software to do cross-domain data movement. And by that I mean, let's move the data around. Let's go ahead and implement maybe this entire stack of SSD, but let's have a software application that controls the management of data, the movement of it. So if we've got this is a virtual host right here, and it's stacked up with a bunch of VMs, or virtual machines, and we've got some very busy virtual machines. Let's have some intelligence at a software layer that will move that data off of the, say, storage system and keep it in a local PCIe card for a period of time. Clearly we're seeing that progress. There's several vendors that are heading that way, and we think that that'll be certainly medium term, that'll be a common strategy. I like it because it allows us to leverage what's best everywhere, right? I think the other option is more of a strategy, and that is to pick the item that makes the most sense in your environment, but knowing that you might end up going to a cross-domain software application at some point. At that point, for most people, it's going to fall into one of two categories, I think. If you have a few hosts where installing a PCIe card just eliminates a problem, you don't really have a lot of other performance problems, putting PCIe in the server might be the simplest, most cost-effective way to go. If you have a multitude of hosts, say in a virtualized environment or even a mix of virtualization and Oracle database servers or something of that nature, then I think the network option provides a lot of value because it can accelerate across many storage systems and analyze all of those storage systems and move data, the most active data, into SSD. That gives you two benefits. Number one, gives you obviously great performance here. And then number two, it gives you the ability to really kind of extend the life of these systems, because now down here all I'm really caring about is capacity. All my performance is going to come from this mid-tier box here. So that's a kind of a strategy for you. We don't want you to necessarily pick one winner in the horse race. We want you to use what makes the most sense given a point in time. We think over time that software that can do cross-domain data movement will be the most popular way to go and really the most logical. But we expect probably this is going to come from large vendors. But it'll be interesting to see if some startups can jump into that space. But I think short term, if you have if you have just a few hosts to accelerate, PCIe probably makes a lot of sense. If you have a lot of hosts to accelerate and you want to leverage that SSD investment across a wide variety of platforms, then either the network or appliance-based approach makes a lot of sense. So I hope that helps keep you from falling into the performance sprawl trap. Again, I'm George Crump, lead analyst with Storage Switzerland. Thank you for joining us today.